Good evening and welcome to 3Wide TV for tonight's broadcast of the Tuesday Night Thunder Truck Series presented by Stay Tuned Sports. It's the Boltjet Charter Fischer Disc Golf 150 from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bob Giaquinto, and joining me for tonight's race, Ian Fischer. Ian, tonight's race here at Atlanta, it's an old surface, it's a bumpy surface, and tires are important tonight.
You're absolutely correct, Bob. Yeah, this is the old surface we've got here on the iRacing service. Still, we had the repave here the last summer for the recent race that we've seen, and a lot of restrictor plate-like racing we see at Atlanta Motor Speedway in real life, but not the case tonight. These guys are going to be slipping and sliding all over the place, really just working to find that grip anywhere they can. Should be an exciting night, Bob.
That's for sure, and, with grip, like you said, is going to be incredibly important. There are 100 laps for tonight's race. We have 5 sets of tires, I believe, in the pits for tonight. And, that's one of those things where it comes out to about 20 laps per set of tire in the pits, and even less than with the set of tires that you start on your vehicle. So with that in mind, tires are going to be important. Pit stops are going to be important. And if we wind up getting some green flag pit stops, that is incredibly tricky to get down on pit road.
Yeah, I'm looking at the temperature tonight. This evening, 103 degrees is going to be our ambient temperature. So the track's going to be very hot, very slick. These guys are going to be struggling to find grip, like I said, all over the place. But I think that should be a fun challenge for our drivers. And a lot of guys like racing on a place where it is a challenge and not just holding the throttle wide open the entire time. So, like I said, should be an exciting night for everybody involved.
Exactly, and I saw it earlier in the race before we had gone on air. I'd gone out and driven around the track and done a bit of a test drive. And if you're not careful on the throttle, this truck will slide out from under you, especially coming out of turn number 4. That's kind of going to be my hot spot of the night to keep an eye out, right around where this camera is currently on the track. So that is going to be one of those things to keep an eye out for as this race goes on. Tonight's race, again, is brought to you by Boltjet Charters. I could tell you how Boltjet Charters specializes in planning your next trip literally anywhere in the world with a private luxury jet. You can check them out, boltjetcharter.com. But Ian, since you are one of our sponsors for tonight with both Boltjet on your truck and Fischer Disc Golf, why don't you tell us more about our awesome sponsors?
Oh, I'd love to. Boltjet Charter is owned by 2 very dear friends of mine, Luke Kakert, who I think is actually watching right now, and Eric Bolt, hence the namesake of Boltjet. But yeah, 2 great guys that kind of were sitting around one day and they thought, hey, I think it's really hard for the average person to get on a private jet and go anywhere, like you said, in the world that they want to go. So let's try to make that a little bit easier. So yeah, they specialize in your next business trip, family vacation, or maybe you just want to take a joyride on a private jet anywhere in the world. Call or text them like you see there, or just fill in one of their handy info sheets here. They'll get back to you, be able to get you anywhere in the world.
And the same there goes for Fischer Disc Golf. If you're out in Michigan, make sure you check them out. They're located in Muskegon, Michigan, and they are your #1 stop on Michigan's West Coast for everything disc golf related. And, taking a look at their store, they've got some really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, Levi Fischer, one of my really good friends who actually owns Fischer Disc Golf. It's quite a common thing that people think that I own it, but no, I just help Levi out. But really great guy over in Muskegon here. If you're local to Michigan, you can go out to Muskegon and check them out. Or they've got the online presence here at FischerDiscGolf.com. Remember to use code RALLY, actually, for 15% off. That's a special offer they have for sim racers here on the iRacing service. And they're a really technology-first company, and that's why they like involving themselves in disc golf and also in sim racing as well. And as you can see here, they have quite an eclectic selection from all the top manufacturers, Discraft, Innova, MVP, Streamline, just all kinds of things that you can get. But they don't have just discs. They've got bags. They've got shirts. They do have a special thing every week called Disc Stacks, which is kind of like a raffle, sort of, I guess you would say, where you can go in and you watch the live stream and pick your disc that you want. It's kind of like a little what's behind the curtain kind of thing. You don't know what you're getting, so it's a really good way if you're into disc golf to go out there and get yourself some new plastic. And yeah, that King of the Hilltop shirt is very popular with all the King of the Hill characters on there.
Yeah, I think that might have to be making a purchase in my shopping cart very, very soon, because I am a big fan of King of the Hill, and I've always wanted to get into disc golf. So I'll have to check them out. FischerDiscGolf.com there. Right now, here back at the track, qualifying is underway. The 48 machine of Alec Daffin, so far the fastest out there on the circuit, with a lap of 30.966, and the top 6 drivers all within a tenth of a second.
And it's so important to keep this this truck wound up and just keep the momentum in there. You'll see a lot of the guys during the race run the high line. I think here in qualifying, you'll see guys trying to take the shortest way around because, as Rusty Wallace says, the shortest way around is the fastest way around. So as we see here, guys are diving down to the middle. I think that's Jimbo we see here in his Stay Tuned sports truck. But you'll see a lot of guys stay towards the bottom of the track, or in the middle of the track is where you're going to get your fastest qualifying times. But I think in the race, Bob, we're going to see guys really high up towards the wall, just trying to conserve as much momentum as you possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely agree there. That's kind of going to be the way to go there. And one of these things, as we see one truck get into the wall there, one of the other big keys out there for tonight's race are these restarts. Obviously, we always say every single week, cautions breed cautions. But here, if you're restarting, especially on old tires, you need to watch out for that wheel spin.
Yeah, I've been freight trained here multiple times because of that reason. So trying to stay out and get an advantage from not pitting and staying on those old tires. And with this abrasive race surface we have here at the old Atlanta pavement, it's just not the way to go. You're going to get bumped from behind. It's going to be so hard to keep that car underneath you. And yeah, it's going to really be interesting to watch these restarts to see if everybody can keep the tires underneath them, not spin them, and get through our first lap clean.
Well, here we are with the 29 machine of Keith Carball, and he's right now on a fairly decent lap. A little bit slower his first lap, about 9/10 of a second off of the pace. But looks like a lot of these drivers have been able to improve on their second lap, making their way around. Right now he's in 16th as he comes across the line. That's going to be good enough to bump him up a few more spots. Picked up about 0.6 of a second on that lap, and he'll be moving up into 13th place. Here's the 38 of Connor Barry coming across the line to finish his lap. That would be good enough for 12th quickest. And a lot of these drivers coming over from the Jim Beaver Motorsports guys, they're big Stadium Super Truck Series drivers here on the iRacing circuit. So it's also really interesting to see the different disciplines coming together here and racing these trucks on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, and I spoke to Connor Barry earlier this week about this race, and he told me that he's been kind of perplexed so far this season. He's been able to qualify up front most of the races. I think he qualified around mid-pack here tonight, but he's been able to qualify up front for most races, but really just can't get that full race run to do what he wants to do. Just having trouble with the tire fall off and conserving fuel, and that's going to be a huge challenge for all these drivers tonight as they race on a very abrasive surface here on Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Well, with that, the qualifying session has come to an end, and let's take a look at the starting lineup for tonight's race. On the pole is the 48 machine of Alec Daffin, last week's winner at Auto Club Speedway. On his outside, the one of Jason Gracias. Keaton Swain and James Lorello in row number 2. Adam Williams had a great run at Bristol before, unfortunately, falling victim to some lap traffic there. He'll start in 5th position. Bill Edwards on his outside in 6th. The 97 machine of Mike Floppy Tellier comes across in 7th. 8th place, Tristan Thuggy Maher. And rounding out the top 10 is the 06 machine of Kevin Powder and Jeff Price.
Ryan Hesegard is going to be rolling off in the 11th spot. Josh Edmondson, like you said, from Jim Beaver Esports, rolling off on the 12th spot. He's looking for a good run tonight. Behind him is his teammate, Connor Barry. Sean Winkler going to be rolling off in 14th position. Keith Carvaugh there is going to be rolling off 15th with a good-looking truck as well. Relative newcomer to the league, Cody Sandlin, 18th. Jimbo's in 17th. Cody Sandlin's at 18th. Got Matt. I struggle with that name, I'll be honest with you. I have a hard time pronouncing his name, but he's going to be rolling off at 18th, so I apologize to him for absolutely slaughtering his name. Now, Wyatt Bohan getting in here for his first race tonight in P19. Mitchell Adams, our league admin, in P20, and Nathan Ramsey, our Australian, in P21, rounding out our grid, Bob.
So there is your group getting ready to race here for tonight. Alec Daffin in the driver's chat has chosen the outside line for the start of tonight's race. as you see a lot of great looking race trucks out there on the track. The pace truck lights have been extinguished and we are rolling. When they come back around, we will be going green. Alec Daffin is going to be starting on the outside line. And right now, this is where it's going to be important to see, okay, how do these outside line restarts work? What do the inside lines look like as well? And just the initial start is really going to be a good practice on how to get restarts going later on in this race.
Yeah, I think the outside line is the play if you're going to be the leader, to pick the outside line, because I think you're going to be able to carry momentum into turn 1 and maybe clear yourself down to the bottom coming down the backstretch into turns 3 and 4 and be able to put a little bit of space between you and the rest of the field, and maybe play a little bit defense as well for that guy chasing you down and be able to block out that lower lane so he can't get that pass on you early. And then from there, it's just staying in front and keeping the clean air on your nose.
Well, the pace truck getting ready to pull off. The field winding up right behind him. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. If you're in the chat, Johnny Williams in there, Alicia Casterline, and Will Ratcliffe, and a whole lot more people. But the pace car getting ready to pull off. The field waiting for the green flag. Green flag is out, and we're racing here at Atlanta. A great jump there by the 48 machine of Alec Daffin as the field is side by side heading off into turn number 1.
And Alec Daffin going to be a name again to watch tonight. He was so good at California. A little bit of pit strategy and a little bit of luck got him towards the front, but really you got to be skilled to be lucky, and that was able to give him a victory lane last week, Bob.
Now it looks like the 21 of Keaton Swain said, all right, I've had a little bit too much here. I'm going to slide back a little bit and kind of pull that parachute. And oh, the 48, Alec Daffin gets loose coming out of 3. He's in the wall hard. Everyone able to get around him. No caution coming out yet. But man, what a tough break there for that 48.
And I feel so terrible. A lap into this race, and I've already invoked the commentary curse, and I hate doing that to any drivers. But like you said, or like we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Bob, so easy for that truck to step out from underneath you, and then when you try to catch it, you go straight into the wall like we saw there.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be one of those races, especially here on cold tires, where that truck just loves to snap loose coming out of the corner. And that's exactly what had happened there. Let's get a quick replay on exactly what had happened with the 48. You see that black and white truck there, and yeah, just got sideways, had to save it using the wall, and unfortunately, he's down on pit road right now, and very well could mean day done for that 48 machine.
Yeah, an arrow loose is a thing here. I don't know if that car that was trailing him was close enough to his splitter to take a little bit of the air off of it, but that's something you got to be aware of here too on those 1.5 mile tracks. Is if you get somebody right behind you, you can take the air off your rear spoiler and makes it just that much easier for the truck to spin around on you.
Right now we see a great battle here for the lead. That is the 1 of Jason Gracias. He's the Pied Piper of the group. Right behind him, the 13 of James Lorello. Adam Williams behind him as we ride on board with Lorello. A couple of Stay Tuned Sports podcast trucks here tonight in the field. It's the 13 of James Lorello we are on board with now. As we look back now from the rear tailgate of Jason Gracias. Some fantastic camera angles here in his own. Williams taking a peek to the outside. Not sure if he's just running the outside line or looking to make a pass. But oh, as I say that, Williams just kind of scrubs the wall a little bit coming at it too.
And that's so easy to do as well. We talk about the track being abrasive, but this wall isn't perfectly symmetrical and square all the way around. There's parts where it juts out a little bit, and it's so easy if you're behind a car and you can't really see in front of you to catch that wall when it comes out.
Yeah, we've got another replay here, and yep, just a little bit out of the groove. And that was just enough for him to slide up there. And it looked like coming out of 4, he got a little squirrely as well. So because of that, the rest of the field had to check up just a little bit. Now it's a 2-truck race here out front between Jason Gracias and James Lorello, 2 series champions here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. Although not with the Stay Tuned Sports Tuesday Night Thunder Truck Series. Some multi-cam action here. Go ahead, Ian.
Yeah, Gracias already has 1 win this season, so we know he can get it done in victory lane, and he always was having a really good run at California last week as well. But was in a little bit of contact with JD Laird, and so that was able to give the win to our newcomer in the 48 car. But just a guy to watch out for here. I think if you're going to take a pick for someone to win 2 races in this season, Gracias is not a bad pick to take, Bob.
That is for sure. And he's one of those drivers where he can save tires like no one else's business. And, you know, he's normally one of those drivers who kind of just hangs out about mid-pack, will push his way up through the field as the run gets going. But right now he's saying, all right, I started out front. I might as well keep going and save tires too while I'm at it.
Yeah, and that's something I really like about racing in the Total Nonstop Racing League here on our Tuesday Night Trucks is these races are, you know, a little bit longer, 100 laps, 150 laps, depending on where we're at. And if you're just smart and you keep your car or your truck in one piece and, you know, make a really nice run up to the front, you can get yourself some good positions just through attrition.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what a lot of these drivers have been doing here as we see the 14 of Jeff Price looking to make a bit of a move up. He's got Kevin Powder just ahead of him. Ryan Hesgard, one of the S2R machines, right behind him. But just a little bit ahead there. It was a great side-by-side battle between the 21 of Keaton Swain and that bright pink and black Hello Kitty car, or truck rather, of Mike Floppy Tellier.
Mike Floppy Tellier, we were talking before the broadcast, won at Bristol this season, but that Hello Kitty car has been good luck for him so far, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, he's won here. He's won in the National Sim Racing Association's Thursday night Xfinity Series. He's won pretty much all over with that Hello Kitty truck. So bright pink and black with Hello Kitty on the hood. Mike to make a charge up towards the front. Another good battle here, as you see in the multi-cam view. James Lorello still trying to hunt down the one of Jason Gracias. A couple other battles going on throughout the field, but right there, that's just kind of the biggest clump of humanity right now on the track. And let's see if we can head down to the Infield Care Center and chat with Alec Daffin about what had happened there. And I'm here with Alec Daffin, and Alec, take us through there. It looked like the truck just kind of got a little loose coming out of 4.
Yeah, I took the outside line to start there because I knew I would be able to probably pull Jason come out 4 there, and I knew it was going to get loose on the inside, but I figured right in the middle like that, I'll be able to full throttle it easily. And with it being on cold tires, I kind of misjudged it. It just snapped on me, and I put too much wheel into it because I was trying to keep it off Jason, not wreck anybody else, and process I just overcorrected there. So yeah.
And, you know, it's definitely a tough break there. You had one heck of a qualifying run, and obviously you won last week with us there at Auto Club Speedway. Next week, I believe we're heading off to Nashville Fairgrounds for the race. What are your thoughts there with Nashville?
I like that track. Kind of hit or miss for me, but I usually run well there, so hopefully we can rebound there and not do the stupidity I just did tonight.
Well, a tough luck out there tonight, Alec, and hopefully we'll have a much more happier interview next week at Nashville.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, well, that's Alec Daffin down in the Infield Care Center from tonight's race. Unfortunately, he has retired from the race and will be finishing in P20 for this evening.
Tough break there for the 48 truck. I'm glad that nobody was hurt except for maybe a little bit of feelings there, Bob.
Yeah, definitely, and especially with him being the leader, and getting loose in front of basically the entire pack here, as we see 2x2 all fitting under a single blanket. You know, that's one of those things where if the car snapped loose the other way, that could have taken out a lot of really good trucks. We saw that at Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago, where, again, same exact position. Coming out of turn 4, leader got loose, got into the wall, but this time, fortunately, everyone else was able to stay clear.
Everybody's able to stay clear and is able to read to this little gaggle of cars we have here. This is a great battle between all these positions right here.
Yeah, that's the 06 of Kevin Powder, Jeff Price in there on the bottom side, Keaton Swain, Mike Tellier there on the top side. And these guys have been battling it out for quite a while. And actually, as we're talking about this, the 78 of Adam Williams has decided to pull his truck behind the wall, and unfortunately will be done for the day. Looks like that bit of a wall tap and getting loose coming out of the corner must have done a little bit more damage than had expected. So unfortunately, he's down there. And Look at that. The 88 now of Bauman is Vahanen rather is on pit road too.
And it's really unfortunate. It's first race tonight, and it may not be enough damage to take your car completely out of the race, but I know it is frustrating there to sit there as a sim racer and just have everybody pass you by and click those laps away when you know you have a damaged race truck.
That is for sure. Meanwhile, out front, you're not missing a whole lot of anything. Jason Gracias has opened his lead to about 0.6 of a second over your leader, James Lorello. A bit of a gap there between Lorello and third place Bill Edwards, his teammate there. But front, Jason Gracias really just putting on a clinic and logging laps.
And speaking of logging laps, these laps are going by quickly. These high bank turns we have here at Atlanta lead to some pretty quick lap times, and we're already at lap 20 here, and it seems like we just started the broadcast, Bob.
Yeah, and taking a look at the chat, looks like the 78 of Adam Williams in chat saying the truck is dead. He got damage on lap 1, and I'm sure grabbing that wall there a couple laps later exasperated the problems. Also in chat, Will Ratcliffe saying, let's go, Mitchell. And Alicia Casterline says, good luck, Jimbo. Remember, John is watching. So, Jimbo, focus. John is watching. You got to be safe out there. One step at a time, one lap at a time. You've got this.
Yeah, hopefully Jimbo saw us there. He might have his phone in his truck watching the race along with us, but he's also got to focus on the track and make sure he keeps clicking those laps away. He's doing a pretty good job right now. I was talking to Jimbo a little bit earlier before the race, and he's really here just to log some laps and get some experience, and just really happy with any finish that doesn't get him too many laps down. I think he's trying to stay on the lead lap tonight, and that was his goal.
Yeah, and so far so good. He's currently last car on the lead lap, but still plenty of time getting through there. And we'll take a look at the rest of these leaders going through right now. Jimbo currently sitting, like I had mentioned, back in P17, just entering turn 3 now, so not too far behind the leader, but not up with the lead pack. He's just kind of, like we had said, logging laps, and at this stage of the race, that's kind of what the MO is.
If I was Jimbo, he has a Stay Tuned Sports podcast. I think a really interesting idea for an episode for him to be doing in-race commentary, possibly, of one of these races. I think that would be a treat for all of our viewers there, Bob.
Oh yeah, I would absolutely love to listen to that. And this week on Stay Tuned Sports, he talks a little bit more about the NFL draft, and if the NFL is learning anything from the MLB's suspension initiatives and things along those lines as well. But I believe right now we have in the infield care center getting ready for an interview is the 78 of Adam Williams. We'll try to bring him in momentarily once he is all situated, just to see what it exactly happened. But right now out there on the track, a good 5-car battle here. This for about P5, and 3/4 of the field is involved.
Yeah, 3/4 of the field is involved, and this has been for at least 10 to 15 laps now. These guys are just sometimes, like I said, 3 wide on 3 wide TV right there. So really, really impressive job by all of these drivers not to get the car out from underneath them, which is so hard to do when you feel yourself getting tightened down. Like, you have to hold a line, and that's probably one of the hardest things to do in racing, is to just keep it 3 wide like that and then not make any kind of move whatsoever that could lead to catastrophe the rest of the field.
And I'm sure it's also tough too, especially if some of these drivers are only driving on one screen versus triples versus VR. A lot of the times, if you're driving on one screen like I do and like a lot of other drivers do, you kind of lose that depth perception as far as where the other car is on either side of you. And even then, that could cause you to slow down a little bit. But right there's really no slowing down, as everyone just kind of stuck running nose to tail.
Yeah, and I'm surprised. I believe that's the 2-car down there on the bottom side. He's able to make that bottom line work. Usually, if you get stuck on the bottom for 3 or 4 laps there, it makes it really easy for the drivers that have the outside line to get around you with the momentum. But he's doing a really, really good job keeping it side by side there.
Well, it looks like we have Adam Williams ready to be brought up into the broadcast booth, and we'll get a look to see what had exactly happened out there. once we're able to get Adam up.
Shout out to the TNR safety team for taking care of all of our drivers after these incidents too, Bob. Really great job to all those guys down there, dude.
All right, and now here with Adam Williams, driver of the 78 machine. Unfortunately, had a little bit of contact there in lap 1, and a couple laps later grabbed the wall. What did you see out there, Adam?
Yeah, lap 1, I don't know. I thought I didn't have any damage. Someone tried to clear in front of me, or I think it was a 13. And I guess after that point, it made me super tight. Hit the wall a couple laps later. Not gonna limp it around. Rather watch the broadcast and go to bed.
And you know, it's a tough break out there. You had one heck of a truck to start out the race, and I mean, even going back to last week at Auto Club, some bad luck there, and even a couple weeks before that with Bristol having a fantastic run in your first outing here with the Truck Series. And just kind of got caught up in some other actions there. Next week we make the move over, pardon me, over to Nashville Fairgrounds. What are your thoughts there about heading to Nashville next week?
I've never ran the track in the trucks. I know there's a lot of banking. The runs come super quick. Won't have to worry as much about damage because it's not a cookie cutter track. So it should be pretty fun.
Well, Adam, tough luck out there this week. Hopefully we'll be able to talk to you in a much better capacity, specifically an interview after the race next week. So good luck next week, Adam, and shame we couldn't get you and keep you racing out there tonight.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
All right, well, that is the 78 machine of Adam Williams. Unfortunately, his night is done. He'll be finishing back in P19. Meanwhile, though, this battle's still heating up.
Yeah, I was watching this while you were interviewing Adam, and we give a call to Josh Edmondson. He's had a couple of tough weeks in a row making the adjustment over here to oval racing, used to being a world championship caliber off-road driver, but really good run here. Finds himself up in P8. A little bit of door banging earlier with the 06 car, but both drivers able to keep it clean, and they're going on further here now, we see, Bob.
Yeah, and it's always so tough to judge with these camera angles because it looks like the 38 or the 58 rather was so close to the 97 to tell you. There's the 06 right on the back bumper of the 58. And here, I mean, you know, Atlanta is not a slow track, so that draft, and I mean, like Adam had even said that, you know, aero is very important here at a place like Atlanta. So any little touch could really upset the car.
Yeah, now we see Josh dive to the inside, trying to make the move on the Hello Kitty car of Mike Floppy Tellier there, and really just making some moves work right now. I think he's found some speed in that 58 machine for next level racing, and really just making everybody at Jimmy Beaver Esports proud.
Yeah, great battle here brewing between the 58 and the 97. These guys are no strangers to each other. They've done battle there in the Stadium Truck Series that we put on here at Total Nonstop Racing. Connor Barry looking to the inside of Tellier as well. Tellier fallen back just a little bit. I say that as he's currently sitting in P9, was P7 just a bit ago. And while all that was going on, Jeff Price and Ryan Hesgard just in front of them have absolutely checked out. And they're tracking down the 50 of Bill Edwards just a bit.
Yeah, you got to make your moves and your passes really quick here and get yourself back into a position where you can run single file, or like you said, you get cars starting to pull away from you.
Right there is the battle for fourth. Tristan Thuggy Maher there in that black and blue, beautiful looking Bagcraft cornhole truck. And the 14 to Jeff Price just behind him. Out front, Jason Gracia still your leader. He's got a lead of about 2 seconds. Right here is not a battle for position, but that is the 4 machine. Nathan Ramsey just got put 1 lap down, so if a caution were to come out, he would be the lucky dog. But as we say that, green flag pit stops now. Jason Gracia smokes the tires a bit coming in. And oh, trouble, the 9 of Cody Sandlin. He gets turned around. He's able to stay down on the apron, so we'll keep this one green. No caution. And I'm sure Jason Gracias is breathing a sigh of relief right there.
Yeah, if he would have got caught pit road and that yellow came out, that probably would have ruined his race right there. But really, a shout out there to the 9 car just to keep it off of the racetrack and lock it down and stay down on the apron and not make the his incident, anybody else's incident there. So really good job by Cody Sandler there.
Yeah, a few more trucks heading down pit road. James Lorello on pit road, Bill Edwards, Tristan Maher, Mike Tellier. Lots of guys heading down pit road now. So, you know, these drivers looking like it's going to be a two-stop strategy. I'm sure they'll come in somewhere around lap 35 or around lap 65 to 70, give or take. So this will be pretty interesting if this race goes green, which right now it's got a bit of a green flag feeling.
Yeah, and I really don't know what the play is here, Bob. I don't know if kind of we were talking last week at Auto Club Speedway where if you're the first truck down pit road, you really kind of have an advantage when everything cycles out here. But this track is a lot shorter than 2 miles, and these lap times are a lot faster than they were at Auto Club Speedway. So I'm not exactly sure if you have to be the first guy down pit road at Atlanta, but it doesn't seem to be as much of a big impact as it was, say, at Auto Club or a Super Speedway where you got to pit as a group.
So right now we're looking at the 29 machine of Keith Carball. Carball currently sitting in the 5th position. As of right now, looks like Jeff Price making that hard left turn to head down pit road now, so he's down on pit road. Only a handful of drivers still have yet to make their pit stops. The 38 of Connor Barry, Kevin Powder, and the aforementioned Keith Carball are the 3 drivers who have yet to come down pit road. And right there, that's the high line that we've been talking about. And might have gotten a little too high there as the 38 of Connor Barry comes down right in front of the 17 of Tristan Maher.
Yeah, that's really, really scary. You got to be watching everywhere you go. You can't just be watching your line on this racetrack. You got to be watching those cars in front of you because you look down for a split second, guy gets loose on you like that. You see how fast the closing rate is. And I'm a little bit interested to see with those Jim Beaver Esports teammates, Connor Barry and Josh Edmondson. They were just passing everybody like they were on rockets. And I think maybe you'll see a little bit there of some of our more experienced oval drivers where just kind of being like, sure, go on by. I'm going to save my tires for a little bit later in this run. You might see that now as Connor Barry's on pit road catching up to him a little bit.
Barry down on pit road. Looks like once everything is cycling through, Jeff Price able to maintain the lead at least for now as he's, as I said, that sliding back in the standings just a little bit as my timing and scoring is a little bit slower to keep things going here. Jason Gracias looks like he will be our leader over Bill Edwards. So about 5 laps have gone by since these drivers have come down pit road, and everyone's spreading out just a little bit.
Yeah, we're starting to get to a point where guys are settling in. They've already had one run on their tires, so they kind of know what to expect here. You kind of know which lines work for you, which lines don't. Just taking notes for the end of this race to see which lines are going to get you the most speed, where you're able to make a move on somebody when it counts, Bob.
Yeah, and when it comes to tire saving, obviously the low line, like we had mentioned, is going to be the quickest way around the track. But sometimes that could also make it the less tire heavy or tire dependent line around the track. But with the way these guys are all ripping the top, it's just kind of been one of those gambles that you have to make.
Yeah, and I spoke to a good friend of mine, Garrett Main. He's not trying to name drop here, but he's a eNASCAR Coca-Cola driver, and I was trying to get a little bit of his thoughts, pick his brain a little bit on Atlanta Speedway here. And he really said that if you're trying to save tires and save fuel, you really want to run that line we see on the racetrack that's grooved in with that rubber. That's going to save your tires the most, and maybe even crack that throttle a little bit more than you're used to, as long as you're keeping that gap and making sure you get those tires all the way to the end of a run with some good condition on them.
Well, when it comes to tire saving, those guys there at the front of the field right now, Jason Gracias, Bill Edwards, Tristan Maher, and even James Lorello, those 4 drivers really are some of the best at saving their tires, knowing exactly what the car is going to do, how it's going to handle, whether it's in dirty air, whether it's up in the top, maybe catching the marbles just a little bit, or what have you. So those 4 drivers really have a good grasp on what exactly this truck is going to do. We see now the 6 machine of Ryan Hesgaard there, one of the S2R guys. He's trying to track down the 14 of Jeff Price just in front of him, James Lorello in front of him as well. So a little bit of a battle here brewing up for the 4th position.
And I just took a look at our timing screen we have here because I was a little bit curious, Bob, to see who's running a fast lap, and it's actually pretty surprising. Every driver in the field is running a 31-second lap time for their best lap, so you might have a little bit of disparity from lap to lap, but everybody able to put down some really fast times here at Atlanta.
Yeah, that time by the two of Ryan Hesgard just put down not only his fastest lap of the race, he put the fastest lap of everyone on there, but he also put the fastest lap of the race down a little bit earlier. He put down a 31.058, so he was flying there. Obviously now he's back around 31.5, so a little bit of tire fall off right now after about 8 to 10 green flag laps on this set of tires. But I mean, some pretty quick laps going on here at Atlanta.
Yeah, I was looking at like just the last laps as they were coming in, and it seems like the slowest lap right now, even from these drivers, that I think everybody's gone through one cycle of tires, so we're on pretty equal tires. But mid 32s is what we're looking at for even the slowest lap time. So everybody doing a really, really great job here of keeping their trucks clean and just clicking away these laps. We're getting pretty close here to halfway, Bob.
Yeah, halfway here coming up. Still about 55 laps remaining here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Jason Gracias has led the majority of them. He's got Bill Edwards hot on his tail. But right now, this is one of the better battles out there on the racetrack. 13 to James Lorello. You see him right there on your screen. He's trying to track down Tristan Maher just ahead of him. And looking out of his rear window over the tailgate, that's another battle for position. So if I'm Lorello right now, I'm saying, all right, I'm just going to draft up here with the 17. If they come to me, great, we'll deal with it then. But right now, eyes front and just kind of looking the way.
Yeah, looking the way, catching that draft, and able to peek your nose out and get a little bit of clean air, which does help a little bit with the handling here at Atlanta. So you want to keep that gap as close as you can, but you want to leave a little bit of room too, so you don't get any aero push off of the car in front of you.
So here is Lorello. He's going to squeeze right up to the back bumper of the 17 of Maher, and they're looking to pull away just a bit. About half a second or so separates the 13 of Lorello and the 2 of Hesgard. Meanwhile, there are a few other cars a little slow on the track. That's the 88 of Wyatt Bonin. Bonin looks like he's heading down pit road right now, so a tough race there. Like we'd mentioned earlier, this is Bonin's first time here at Atlanta. Just actually had downloaded the track just before practice here, so still kind of a newbie to the track, and just a tough race.
Kudos to him, though. If I was going to pick my first race at a track in a new series, I don't know if I'd want to pick Atlanta as my first test, but really just doing the best he can here to hang on and just try to get some experience going into later in the season.
So right now we see the battle. Jeff Price was able to get around the 2 of Hesgard, and a good battle here between those two guys. Kind of Price made it look easy, was able to get around the 2 of Hesgard. Hesgard probably looked like he let him go just a little bit, but meanwhile out front of these two guys, a good battle going on again between the 13 and the 17.
Yeah, and he talked about letting the driver go a little bit. If you know a guy is faster than you, I think now is not the time to push the issue. You got plenty of time here. We're going to have coming up to 50 laps to go this time by, and you're not going to win the race on lap 50, Bob. So, yeah, just let that guy go, save your tires, work your strategy, and race your race for now.
So we saw the drivers can do roughly 35 to 40 laps, give or take, on these tires, as well as fuel. There is a limited fuel capacity here in the Tuesday Night Thunder Truck Series. Obviously we have about 20 laps or so until we get the next round of pit stops, but I would have to assume 4 tires is going to be the way to go here.
Yeah, I don't really think you can take 2 tires and have that work out well for you. I just don't see how that's going to give you any kind of advantage over anybody else in the field, unless possibly you get to a situation where we go into overtime, a green-white checkered, maybe to get yourself some quick track position. But really, I think that's going to be the only time that a 2-tire stop is going to be advantageous to you.
Here we are out front now as Jason Gracias makes his way around the 4 of Nathan Ramsey. Ramsey is going to be going 1 lap down to the leader. And again, like I had mentioned earlier, with him going 1 lap down, he's currently the first car 1 lap down, so he will be the lucky dog recipient should a caution come out. Not trying to broadcasters curse this thing, but if a caution were to come out, I mean, we're 52 laps into this. Starting to get some pretty old tires. Gracias there on 20-lap old tires. And this is where things start to get a little slippery out there, especially on old tires.
Yeah, I would say the only saving grace for our drivers right now is the field isn't too bunched up or anything like that. So really easy to run your line, and you got some room to save your truck if it gets out from underneath you. So I think this is going to go green for a little bit longer. But like you said, Bob, I don't want to invoke the commentator's curse again. I already did that on lap 1, so I don't want to do that on lap 50.
Well, we've got a few cars trying to make their way through lap traffic here. That's the 50 of Bill Edwards and the 18 of Jim Casterline. Casterline taking a look all the way down low. Good run there by the 18. Or the 16 rather. He's able to get around the 4. Unfortunately, that's not 4 position, but a really great move there by Jimbo.
Yeah, 4 position. I see what you did there, Bob. That's a good one.
Bill Edwards able to get around the 4 of Nathan Ramsey. He's going to set his sights there for the 16 of Casterline.
Yeah, and I know Ramsey is 1 lap down right now, but I was talking to him a little bit earlier before the race, and really he's just trying to finish the race on the lead lap and get himself a good top 15 finish. So right now he's sticking to his game plan. Like you said, if that caution comes down, he's going to get the wave around the free pass, and I think Nathan Ramsey, the Australian, is going to be really happy with his race so far.
Yeah, that is for sure. Looks like Nathan Ramsey currently, pardon me, as I'm pulling up actually the wrong set of stats right now for this, but looks like the 4 of Nathan Ramsey in the points right now. He's a little bit further back, currently in 19th place in the points, but only 3 points behind Crystal King, who has not raced in a couple of weeks. So definitely one of those times for the 4 just to kind of get there and have a good points day. And the more points you rack up, the easier it is to move ahead as the season goes on.
Yeah, Crystal King, a really talented driver on the off-road trucks. I was talking to her a little bit. She's going to be trying to stick to more of the speedway and the short track races. She's really not a fan of these 1.5-mile tracks that can't really kind of get them figured out. So she's just trying to run a partial schedule and really just make the impact where she knows she can make it, Bob.
And definitely, I mean, we saw her put on pretty much put on a clinic there at Daytona, as I believe she got the pole and led a whole bunch of laps, but unfortunately got caught up in one of the big wrecks towards the end of the race. And when she was out there, she really was putting in some good work.
Yeah, really talented super speedway racer. I would say that's her bread and butter for sure.
So right now, Jeff Price closing up on the back bumper of Tristan Maher. This battle here is for 3rd position. Great to see Jeff out there on the track. He was having some internet issues a couple of weeks ago, but it looks like he was able to get all of it fixed. And so far, so good. Looking pretty darn good, as now James Lorello is going to fall under fire from his teammate, the 2 of Ryan Hesgard.
He sure is. And looking at our leader, Jason Gracias, he's not only the leader of our race right now, but we were talking about our championship points. He's the leader of our points right now, and closely trailed by Mike Floppy Tellier by only 6 points. But with Tellier down there in the 13th spot, 1 lap down, this is a real good opportunity for Jason to put a gap on him for that top spot in our championship.
And it's a little surprising that you mentioned with Floppy being down in the standings so far. He was up around the top 5, started falling back quite a bit as the run was going on, but at first I was kind of equating that to just hard racing. He was in a pack of about 5 or 6 cars all fighting for position, but looks like he's just kind of fallen back a little bit more than expected.
Yeah, and I think with the heat that we have on the track and the drivers laying down the rubber now, some of our drivers that maybe were really good on our fresh track are starting to have a little bit of trouble with handling. I take a look at Josh Edmondson down there in 15th place. He was having a great run. Now he finds himself 2 laps down, and last time he came by the booth, I saw a little bit of damage on the left side of his truck there, so maybe struggling with a little bit of aero damage as well. And that is really hard to get over with a track like this. And you get any kind of damage whatsoever on your truck that hurts the aero of the truck, and you just start falling back like you see him doing now.
Yeah, we saw that. We see that now with the 58. We saw that earlier with the 78 as well. And, aero is so important at tracks like this. And, you kind of say, all right, well, everyone's so close together. It's not like it's a super speedway, but I mean, aero is the way you kind of have to manipulate your truck to get around the track as fast as possible. We see here on board with the 14 machine tucking up behind the 17 just to kind of stay in the wake of the truck, and going through the corner, you want to try to keep as much clean air on the front end of your truck as possible.
Yeah, if I was in this battle right here, I would basically take the opposite of whatever line the truck is in front of me, and just like you said, Bob, just to try to keep the air on the nose here, and takes the high line here, maybe trying to get the momentum coming back into the little tri-oval section we had. But you mentioned it's not super speedway racing, but this is about as close as you can get to super speedway racing on a 1.5-mile track with the high banks here in Atlanta.
Yeah, and we saw there heading off into 3, the 17 was backing off quite a bit early, and Price was able to close the gap, but that inside line is the shorter way around, but coming out of the corner on the high side, you have way more momentum, and that's kind of going to be the play. Do you want to have the quickest way around on the inside, or do you want to have more momentum exiting the corner?
Yeah, and with the package that these trucks have here on the iRacing surface, really get, like I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, keeping that momentum up is so crucial. So yeah, you can duck down to the bottom like that, but if you get stuck down there on that bottom line for 3 or 4 laps, you're going to see yourself moving back in a hurry.
And not only that too, but with these guys battling side by side, that's the 4 of Nate and Ramsey just in front of them. And, you know, it's one of those things where as the lap car, yeah, you should probably let them by. But at the same time, if you're trying to battle to stay 1 lap down or stay the lucky dog, you're in no obligation to let these guys by. And, you know, that's another tough part of just kind of racing the racetrack, but also racing the traffic around you, as we see the 38 of Connor Barry down pit road.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of Connor Barry's strategy. I spoke to him earlier this week, and he's going to try to pit off Cycle a little bit and see if he can hold on to a worn-in race car. He loves racing the truck when it has the tires a little bit worn in, so I'm not as surprised to see him pitting a little bit early there and maybe try to stretch those tires to the end if this thing stays green, Bob.
Yeah, about 36 laps to go, give or take, and Connor Barry making what could very well be his final stop of the race. Meanwhile, we see another good battle going here. That's the 14 of Jeff Price still on the back end of Tristan Maher. Here's James Lorello trying to figure out his way around the 4 of Nate and Ramsey as well.
Oh, we see a car there. I don't know if they were losing a little bit there, or if they just moved down to the bottom and then came back up, but a little bit of trouble there from, I can't really tell what car that was. It was moving by a little bit too quickly, but I don't know if he was trying to avoid a car in front of him or what was happening there, Bob.
Yeah, I think that might have been the 16 of Jimbo there. Got a little bit squirrely coming out of the corner, and noticed the leaders were in the rearview mirror, so he was trying to jump down to let them all by, and then the truck just got a little bit squirrely, but looks like everyone no worse for wear, and everything is good as Jimbo takes his truck down pit road as well for what could be his final pit stop.
Yeah, and when I'm in that situation, Bob, where I see the leaders coming on me like that, and I know I have a truck that I'm struggling a little bit with, I wish there was some hazard lights on these trucks where you can just pop that and say, hey, you know, I'm having a little bit of trouble here, just bear with me a little bit, but unfortunately we don't have any lights. They're just stickers, as they say in cars here on these trucks.
You know, we were talking last night on the broadcast for our GNS series where, you know, with the Xfinity cars, we do kind of wish we had those GT3 lights where you can just sit there and flash the guy in front saying, hey, let me get by you. I'm faster than you. Just move over. Let me get around. We'll be all good. And as we say that, looks like Jason Grassi is heading down pit road. Tristan Maher and Jeff Price both coming down pit road. And whoa, that was quick. And oh no, the 17 of Maher has trouble. And looks like he's going to get it right in, and we'll stay green.
Yeah, and, you know, you don't want to spin, obviously, coming on a pit road, because that's going to hurt your pit time. But, you know, going down there, getting fresh tires already, and you're off the track, it's not the worst thing in the world that can happen. But obviously, nobody's trying to lock up the tires, trying to get on pit road. And it's so easy to do that because you have to come off of the banking to get onto pit road. And it's really hard when your car snaps out to the flat like that to keep it underneath you.
Yeah, and looks like the 13 of James Lorello, he was coming down pit road as well. He was a little squirrely too, able to keep that truck underneath of him. As we see there, the 27 machine, that is Sean Winkler. Haven't talked too much about him right now. He's currently running in the 15th position, 1 lap down. But it's also pit cycle time, so right now all the positions are made up and no one really knows where they are.
Yeah, all these guys pitting around lap 69. Nice. So going to be able to go all the way to the end on this. And really, I don't think we're going to see any more stops, Bob, unless we go to a green-white checkered. I think you'll see guys pop in, get some tires there just for that last final sprint. But yeah, just guys making their last stops now, and then hopefully if this thing stays green, going all the way to the finish.
And, you know, this is one of those things now where you kind of have to think, okay, who has the advantage? The guy with brand new, fresh tires who's, you know, who might wind up being about a lap down, having to fight their way through the field, or someone like Connor Barry who said, you know what, I'm going to short pit as, oh, the 60, Matt Vanderkoy gets into the outside wall. He's going to keep it straight. But, you know, like I was saying, who has the advantage here? Is it the guy on the older tires who's been out there and just kind of keeping track position? Or is it the new guy with fresh tires who might be behind the eight ball a little bit?
I really like that play by Connor Barry, though. I talked at the beginning of the broadcast, he's trying to just get a good race run under his belt and something to feel good about going into the next couple of days. But I think that spot he took there to pit early and get ahead of all these other guys, if this stays green in the way that we've seen these trucks been racing all night long, I think that's a really smart play. Sometimes you got to do that. You got to go off strategy a little bit from everybody else to get yourself up towards the front of the pack and get that track position.
Oh, and trouble. The 21. Wow, he saved it. What a save there by the 21 of Keaton Sway, and just got tapped a little bit in that left rear quarter panel by, I believe that was the 9 machine of Cody Sandlin. He was somehow able to save it. Wow, what a save.
Yeah, you can make a highlight video of all of Keaton Swain's saves this season, and that's just another one right there. I think he might have thought he was clear and came down a little bit. And guess what, Bob? He wasn't clear.
Yeah, and that's one of those times where the iRacing spotter says clear, but they're like, oh, you'll be clear in like a 1/10 of a second, and it just kind of, it could have ruined the race right there, but everyone is able to keep it going in a straight line. There's our leader, the 06 of Kevin Powder. He's heading down pit road as well, and he'll wind up relinquishing the lead to the 1 of Jason Gracias yet again.
And I'm correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, but has Gracias pit yet?
Yes, he has. He pit about 7 or 8 laps ago, I believe.
That's crazy to see how he just cycled back up to the front so quickly. He's got to have a really fast race truck tonight, able to get back up and cycle back up, even with guys short pitting.
Yeah, right now your top 3 are the top 3. Well, actually, the top 2 were the top 2 that had started coming down pit road. But Jason Gracias, Bill Edwards, Ryan Hesgarden, there's Connor Barry. He's moved his way up to 4th place. And Ian, correct me if I'm wrong, he was definitely outside of the top 5, maybe even outside of the top 10 before coming down pit road.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And like I said, going off a cycle a little bit to gain that track position, now really it's just a saving game for Connor Barry, because those tires are going to fall off here as we get later and later into this race, as we see another truck almost spin coming onto pit road. And these drivers are really having a tough time, Bob, getting down on the pit road and getting slowed down coming off that banking.
Yeah, and we saw there the 97 was trying to get around a couple of slower drivers, making their way on pit road just a little bit easier than them. That was the 9 of Cody Sandlin, and I believe that was the 88 as well, heading down pit road. But, you know, Tellier with some great truck control, able to keep that thing going straight and just kind of power slid down pit road.
I don't know if these guys are just getting comfortable or what, but this last cycle of stops has really been kind of tough for everybody. You remember that contact that Keaton Swain had earlier. He had some contact, and I think it only affected his right rear, but that truck that he got into, that got him on the nose. So I'm not quite certain who he got into, but you got to see going later into the race if that contact on the nose is going to hurt that truck going farther into this run.
Looks like some more pit cycles still swapping around. The 58 of Josh Edmondson is down on pit road right now. There's your 2nd place driver, Bill Edwards. Right now, he's about 0.8 of a second behind your leader, Jason Gracias. There's Jason there in a very clean race truck, and at the end of the day, that's what really matters.
Yeah, and as we see here, he's starting to move towards the middle of the racetrack, and from when I've raced here on the iRacing surface, once you get deeper into a run, that middle there where you see all that rubber down on the racetrack is really going to be the line that you want to be on if you can hang on to it. And it gives you a lot of room for error, too. If you get a little bit loose and you're up near that wall, it's really easy for your rear quarter panel to smack that wall, and then you have all kinds of trouble. But if you stay there till the middle, it gives you a little bit of room for error.
And just taking a look at lap times now, that last time by, Jason Gracia put down a 31.993. Bill Edwards put down a 31.897. So about a tenth of a second difference in lap times. Edwards is catching Gracias. And it goes to show, I mean, last time by, he was about 8/10 of a second behind. Now he's about 7/10. And he's closing in just a bit. And, you know, with about 20 laps to go, this could wind up being a pretty good battle to finish.
Yeah, we're starting to see those lap times fall off a little bit now. The tires are getting a little bit worn in. Our fastest laps are going to be in the 31-second range, but looking at the last time by for all of our drivers, seems like those lap times are climbing up into the low to mid to high 32s. So just these guys wearing into a run here and just trying to conserve their stuff to the end.
And I think, you know, I don't want to jinx anything here, but we've done 80 laps here at Atlanta on a very hot and very slick racetrack. Everyone able to keep things going. We've had 2 green flag pit stop cycles as well. And, you know, this is just some fantastic racing here tonight.
Fantastic racing here tonight, and really just give a call to all of these drivers. It's been a really enjoyable league for me to run in. I'm not the greatest oval racer whatsoever, but the fact that these races are able to stay green for as long as they are, there's not a whole bunch of restarts, and as you mentioned earlier, cautions, debris cautions, I think it's just a really good chance for everybody to get into a groove and run the best race they could possibly run here in Atlanta.
And, you know, that at the end of the day, that is kind of the goal here of Total Nonstop Racing, just to go out and have fun. Garrett loves to say that this is a brotherhood of all the drivers who are out there, all part of a league. And, you know, just the fact that everyone's able to get together on a Tuesday night, drive some trucks here on the iRacing service, and, you know, just kind of have fun. You know, yeah, tempers may flare and, you know, you might get a little frustrated with someone else, but at the end of the day, everyone is there to have some fun, and you know, really that's all that matters.
Yeah, and I mean, really, it's, you know, not to get on a bit of a soapbox here, but league racing, and, you know, Garrett's right. It is a brotherhood here. When you race against the same guys week after week after week, it just builds that camaraderie and also builds that respect that you have for each other, because you know, if you get into somebody and ruin their race on an official race, well, you're probably never going to see that guy again. But that's not the case here on Total Nonstop Racing. You get a pretty consistent group of guys every single week, and you know they're going to race you clean and race you respectfully, because you're going to see them again next week.
Exactly. And I mean, even with some of these guys in the league, we've been racing since the NASCAR Racing 2003 season days. And, you know, just guys getting together and racing on weekends. Started out, I mean, guys like Mike Floppy Tellier, Tristan Maher, Jason Gracias, Garrett, myself, even were racing together way back then as well. And just to, you know, keep it going now, and really just shows how much the camaraderie here in the league is has grown here, as we see the 16 of Casterline just get a little squirrely there coming at it too.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I've watched that all night long, where guys get a little bit loose off too and go all the way down to the bottom. I don't know if that's just them being polite and trying to stay out of the guys that they know have got the run, but yeah, that banking really just shoots you down to the bottom of the track if you make any mistakes here.
Yeah, we've seen that a few times with a couple of different drivers out of tube and also out of 4. I mean, the 48 turn 4 lap 1, where he just got squirrely and got loose coming out of the corner. And unfortunately, speaking of damage, looks like the 58 Josh Edmondson has taken his truck behind the wall and he's retired. The 14 of Jeff Price as well. Didn't see what had happened with him, but Price also behind the wall and out of tonight's race as well. So 2 trucks who really showed a lot of battle earlier in the race. Unfortunately, the finish isn't going to match.
Yeah, and those guys that we saw in the last cycle of pit stops here kind of have a little bit of trouble. You see now they're sitting about 1 lap down, and you know, pit cycles doesn't seem like that much, but when you're pitting under green, it's so important to get that in lap and that out lap as fast as you possibly can. And if you don't, Bob, you find yourself in a situation where you might fall a lap down, as we see our drivers, you know, 7th on down, all 1 or 2 laps down, and it's so easy to do that if you don't ace your pit stop.
That is for sure. And we saw guys like the 17 of Tristan Maher. He was running up there in the top 5, but like you had said, he got down on pit road. He spun out coming down pit road. And right now he's stuck back in 10th, 1 lap down. And now only 6 drivers on the lead lap. Connor Barry there sitting in 5th place, about 20 seconds behind the leader. That's the 17 to Tristan Maher. That is not a battle for position, as Maher about a lap down now.
Yeah, and I was looking at our top two, Gracias and Edwards are our top two right now, running nearly identical lap times. So Edwards going to have to find a little bit of speed on this racetrack if he hopes to catch up to Gracias in our last 13 laps here.
And right now, that battle, I mean, those are two of the most consistent drivers week in and week out here on the Total Nonstop Racing League, where they always seem to find each other out there on the racetrack together. And, you know, when you're racing that much next to each other, I'm sure it can get pretty frustrating.
Frustrating, and you just got to keep, you know, your mind sharp at that point. You can't get comfortable at any point of the race if you're racing so closely to the guy for a position, I mean, for the lead. And so it's really, really tough as you go further and further into this race. You've already been fighting the truck maybe a little bit for the first 90 or so laps, and it all comes down to this, and your mind has to be sharp when you're probably already a little mentally tired.
Right now, we got a great battle for position here. This is for 3rd place, a couple of S2R teammates. That's the 2 of Ryan Hesgard on the outside in the all-white and black truck. And on the inside, that's the 13 of James Lorello. They're side-by-side heading off through the corner. Lorello, our winner last night at Martinsville in the Bagcraft Cornhole Grand National Series. So, looks like Lorello just trying to ride that wave of momentum here as he's side-by-side, and looks like Hesgard got him that lap.
Yeah, we saw Hesgard in the 2 truck earlier making that bottom line work, and now he's at the top line and maybe falling off a little bit. He might really enjoy that bottom line and for Hesgard there, Bob.
Yeah, and we saw Hesgard. He has been running that line for a lot of the race, and honestly, the 13 of Lorello has been running his opposite line as well. Now they're back on their bit of preferred line there, and looks like Lorello able to get a good run out of 4, and he'll get him at the line now in 3rd with 10 laps left.
Yeah, and that surprises me because the 2 of Hesgard got such a good crossover there going into 3. I thought he was going to be able to make it stick, but yeah, Lorello there able to get the momentum off of turn 4 and beat him back to the line. And when you're coming off of 4 there, you want to get the wheel as straight as you possibly can to come back onto the straightaway, but we saw a lot of guys with that earlier. It pushes you into that outside wall, and it's so easy to just tap it a little bit. And even a little tap here we mentioned with the aero damage, it does a lot.
And when you get that aero damage, it's almost like getting a giant parachute sticking out of the back of your truck. It really slows you down going through the corner. And, you know, it's obviously not something you want to have, but, you know, that aero damage is a real killer, especially here at Atlanta. And with 9 laps to go, this battle, really, really good battle here between Hesgard and Lorello.
A great battle with 9 laps to go here, just under 10 laps to go. So if one of these guys are going to make a move for a position, you got to make it now. I don't think they've got enough to catch up to our 2 leaders as we see Edwards falling a little bit backwards here on Gracias. And Gracias just keeps it smooth for these next 8 laps. I think he's going to be our first 2-time winner here this season on Tuesday Night Thunder Trucks.
Yeah, right now, Gracias has about a 1.1 second lead over Edwards. This here is the best battle on the racetrack right now between Lorello and Hesgard. Lorello able to pull away just a bit now by about 4 or 5 car lengths. That 06 there, Kevin Powder, he's currently back in 7th place, 1 lap down. And as of right now, if a caution were to come out, he would be the lucky dog.
Be the lucky dog, and it's really important to put yourself in the situation where you can get back on the lead lap, because if you do get yourself back on the lead lap and it goes to an overtime situation or maybe a late caution with a couple laps to go, you were talking earlier that if everybody comes in, that might be the time to play that 2-tire strategy and get yourself some easy spots there coming to check the flag.
So now there's going to be 6 laps left here as the leader comes across the line. And right now, you know, if you're one of these guys, if you're Hesgard, if you're Lorello, I'm just saying, all right, 6 laps to go. Let's just hit our marks. Let's keep going. I don't want any cautions. I don't want anything else crazy to happen. I'm happy where I am. And, you know, if I get the opportunity to move up, fantastic. If not, let's just keep going green.
Yeah, I found myself in a similar situation last week at Auto Club, coming to Barney the Flagman, giving me the high 5 for 5 laps to go. Is You know, I was battling with a few guys there, and I could have made a few positions if I'd really pressed, but you got to sit back and think of the long-term points battle that you're going for and say, hey, I'm in a good spot here. I don't want to bin my truck after having a really good run. Maybe I just settle in here and take what I can get.
So right now you see not a battle for position, but a pretty good battle out there on the track. There's the one of Jason Gracias. He's our leader. He just put Mike Floppy Tellier a second lap behind. So, you know, right now Gracias putting on a clinic now with 4 to go.
Yeah, in a really weird position to see Mike Floppy Tellier in like 2 laps down and looking, you know, farther down our grid here. Just some interesting drivers we're seeing 1 or 2 laps down that we don't normally see. And it's interesting how those pit cycles shook out to where we only have, looks like 6 cars on the lead lap and really just one guy holding on to the lead all by himself. So just goes to show how important track position and really nailing your pit stops is here in Atlanta.
Yeah, and that's really been the key all night long. Jason Gracias has hit his marks every single time, and he's been the leader for almost the entire race, aside from those green flag pit stops. And, you know, you see the 97 Mike Tellier taking a peek to the inside just to kind of ruffle his feathers just a little bit. Floppy, consummate professional, and just there to have some fun with his pseudo teammate in Jason Gracias.
Yeah, I really appreciate about that, all the guys that race here on the league as well, is, yeah, you can be a car a lap down, but even if you're a car a lap down, there's nothing wrong with racing those guys on the lead lap as long as you do it cleanly, and I think everybody does a great job of that here.
And I think the best part about that, too, is we have 2 laps to go now, is just the fact that you can sit there if you're one of those cars multiple laps down, such as the 88 there. He's back in 16th. Is you just kind of ride in that guy in front of you's tire tracks and just learn the racetrack and see, okay, he lets off here. What if I let off here? How does my truck handle? And, you know, is this the best way to get around the racetrack? And honestly, it's a great learning experience here as Jason Gracias comes now on the final lap.
1 lap to go for Jason Gracias. Just an excellent run from start of the drop of the green flag all the way here to the white flag, and just keeping the tires on it, driving a really smooth race, and pulling away now from Edwards in that 2nd spot. So really his race to lose at this point, coming through 3 and 4.
Yeah, Gracias has had one heck of a race, and a complete race at that. As we say that, oh, the 38 got a little bit squirrely there coming out of the corner. This could be trouble. Connor Barry able to keep it going straight. Checkered flag is out. Jason Gracias is going to win here at Atlanta.
I'm really happy for Connor Barry there that he was able to save that and be able to get it across the line in P6. That would have been really disappointing for him if he lost it there on the last lap and really just ruined his race.
So as the rest of the field is going to be making their way across the start-finish line here, what a fantastic race overall. Some great saves. We saw the 21 with possibly the save of the season already as he was drifting his way through the corners. But now here comes Jason Gracias getting ready to burn it down here along the start-finish line, as we see a couple of guys congratulating each other on a fantastic race there between the 38 and the 21. Here's Gracias burning it down.
Yeah, that was pretty funny last week as well. Yeah, Adam Williams, he had a little bit of trouble in this race, but I was trying to figure out for the life of me where I picked up a 4X in the last race at Auto Club, and I found out it was from the end. There was Adam giving me a little victory bump there after the protector flag had fell.
Well, let's take a look here at tonight's finishing order for the Boltjet Charter Fischer Disc Golf 150. Jason Gracias is your winner, followed behind Bill Edwards. James Lorello, Ryan Hesgard comes out in 4th, and Keaton Swain in the top 5. 6th place goes to Connor Barry, Kevin Powder in 7th, Matt Vanderkoy in 8th, Tristan Thuggy Maher in 9th, and Nathan Ramsey brings it home there in a top 10.
Yeah, really good finish for Nathan Ramsey. You got to think he's really got to be happy with that. Mike Floppy Tellier comes across in P11 for that Sky Motorsports truck. Keith Carbaugh in 12th. Sean Winkler in 13th, 2 laps down. Cody Sandlin making his debut this season. Not on tonight, but just his debut season. Comes home in P14. Our good friend Jimbo comes home in P15, and Team Hire Me Please Esports, which I think is just absolutely hilarious, Bob. Wyatt Bonham making his first start tonight, comes home in P16, able to get a good learning experience in. Josh Edmondson's going to come home 17th in that Next Level Racing Jim Beaver Esports machine, and tough night for him. He had such a good run going and then got a little bit unlucky, comes all the way down to 17th. And rounding out our field is Jeff Price.
Yeah, Jeff Price, Adam Williams, Alec Daffin, unfortunately both had some troubles there early on in the race within the first couple of laps, and unfortunately had to pull it back behind the wall. Well, we're waiting right now for our top 3 drivers to get themselves set up in the podium. And I believe our 3rd place driver should be ready, the 13 of James Lorello. I'm going to bring him up into the broadcast booth right now, and we'll try to get him in here. And now with 3rd place finisher tonight, the 13 of James Lorello. James, obviously you wanted to finish a couple positions ahead, but what a great complete race, 100 laps, green flag racing. Talk me through your night.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. Glad that went green. Atlanta's always a good time. I just messed up that first pit stop and couldn't get back after that. I finally figured it out on the last run, but yeah, Gracias was great. And once you get too far back with no cautions, I just couldn't make up any more time.
Yeah, and you'd mentioned having the issues on the pit stop. How tough was it getting down pit road? We saw a lot of drivers getting squirrely off the banking, heading down pit road. A couple drivers wound up spinning out, getting onto pit road as well. Was it as tough as it looked out there?
Yeah, if you just mistimed where you were going in, it definitely got real squirrely, and I just went in too easy, and then I overshot my pit box and had it in reverse when I went to leave. So all of those things added up to me going down by 8 seconds.
Well, a tough break there. Next week, we're looking at heading off to Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Obviously, you're definitely not a rookie there when it comes to running at the fairgrounds. What are your thoughts about heading there?
Yeah, that's a fun racetrack. I really enjoy that one. So I wish that one would go green. That would be really great. So excited to run it, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, James, before we let you go, congratulations there on the 3rd place finish. I'm sure you have some shout outs for us, so let's hear them.
Yeah, just thanks to you all for the broadcast and for Stay Tuned Sports Podcast and Jimbo and the S2R teammates, Matt, with an 8th place finish. So that was awesome. All of us in the top 10. So appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Well, congratulations, James, on the 3rd place finish, and looking forward to seeing you out there next week at Nashville Fairgrounds.
See you then.
All right, well, that'll do it for our 3rd place finisher in tonight's race. And Ian, I believe you've caught up with our 2nd place finisher, Bill Edwards.
Yeah, I'm just giving Bill a second here to get into the interview booth. Bill, really good run here to take you home tonight in P2. I got to ask, we watched that battle with you and Jason Gracias coming down to the wire there, and I think really important in these green flag runs was keeping your tires underneath you. What strategies did you have going through the race to keep those Goodyear rubbers fresh for the rest of the run?
Yeah, that was it. I was just trying to take it just a little bit easier than everybody else for the first 2 stints there. When I come off the pit lane and I seen Jason in front of me, I thought, well, my best chance, because once the tires evened out, we were pretty even, unless you're really saving. So I was hoping to just get in there and get a sniff of the draft and maybe get close enough to make him drive a little different or change up his line or push a little too hard, and then I could make my move. But he kept his cool. He did exactly what he needed to. He saved when he was in front, and he had that clean air, which I think does help here. So it was definitely a good run for him. Good run for me. I'll take it. Second, for this track and as loose as it was, I'll take it.
Yeah, you can never be disappointed with a 2nd place finish. But you talked a little bit about the draft and keeping clean air on your truck. How important is it here at Atlanta to keep your truck clean and be able to make that aero advantage work for you going into these deep runs?
You definitely have to. I mean, you can't scrub anything. You got to keep your tires underneath you, and you can't scrub the wall, because a little wrinkle here makes a pretty good difference when you're doing almost 180. So yeah, got to have that aero. Got to have the clean track. You can just enter them corners. He was slicing through some of the lap traffic a little bit better than I was. All I could do was try to get up there and hope he made a mistake. So I gave him my all, but I'll take it.
Yeah, and you mentioned there 180 miles an hour, Atlanta, a very high-speed track. But next week we go to Nashville, and A much different animal than Atlanta. What's your strategy going into Nashville, and how are you going to get it done there?
I love Nashville. I'm ready for it. I think I've won there actually before in this, so one of my favorite tracks. Yeah, strategy is it's gonna be. You still got to keep it clean because it's easy to lose the whole truck. You know, lose an engine. But yeah, if I can survive, I'm hoping to be up there in the top 5 and fighting for it again.
And survival is the name of the game. Is there anybody you want to shout out that helped you survive the race tonight?
Got to give a shout out to my teammates, Jason, Ryan, Matt. We all 4 made top 10 today, so that's super exciting. Got to give a shout out to all the guys. Everybody raced pretty clean, no yellows, so it makes it so much fun to run with these guys when we can go out there and we're not, just eye pacing instead of eye racing. So you guys up there in the booth, TNR, Jimbo for putting this whole thing on for us this season, and yeah. I gotta say hi to my mom. She's watching. That's about it.
Always got to say hi to Mom. That's very, very important, Bill. Congratulations on your second place finish tonight.
Thank you.
And Bob, he mentioned earlier going to Nashville. It's going to be such a different animal for these drivers, but the one who was able to survive tonight is Jason Gracias, and I think you'll be standing by with him next.
Yep, I'm down here now and in victory lane with our winner for tonight, the number 1 of Jason Gracias. And Jason, congratulations on getting it done. Led most of the laps, I believe probably about 80 laps or so there. 2 green flag pit cycles, caution free race. Walk me through your night tonight.
Yeah, no, this number 1 Bagcraft Mason Dixon Racing Esports Chevrolet Silverado was pretty much on rails tonight. All the MDR boys told me to do was hold a steady wheel and keep it pointed straight off the turns, and you'll be there at the end. And that's pretty much all I had to do. Just make sure I didn't burn off that right front, keep it pointed coming off the turns, and this truck was just bad fast tonight.
Yeah, just talking about tires there, how hard was it to save but also go fast, especially while leading this thing?
There's always a fine line. I'm still trying to search what the happy medium is. For the first stint there, I kind of pulled Lorello by maybe half a tenth, and then we were pretty much even. And then I realized I was pushing a little too hard, and I backed it off just a tad, and that seemed to be the winning formula, just to back off my charge just a little bit to make sure I was conserving that right front and not burning off the right rear, getting it loose off the turns.
And, we had talked about, obviously, tire saving. We had 2, not 1, but 2 green flag pit stops throughout the race, and it was pretty treacherous coming down. We saw Thuggy had spun out a bit. Floppy had gotten sideways as well. How hard was it, especially dealing with that transition from the banking down to the flat and getting on pit road and getting down to pit road speed?
This is probably, and maybe Texas, this in Texas, are probably the 2 hardest pit roads to enter, because you want to try to close the gaps as much as you can by charging pit road. And here, with the way, as you alluded to, the banking transitions from the track to the apron, if you carry too much speed, you'll get the rear end loose and you'll loop it coming on pit road. There's a couple of times there where I thought I was being extra conservative, and as I got to the line, I realized I was going way too fast. So I almost got busted for speeding that last pit stop. But thankfully, I was able to slow it down just in time before I hit the line. But yeah, pit road here is probably one of the many ways you can pass or make up a lot of time in the competition.
Well, next week we go from, the high banks here at Atlanta to some other pretty high banks at Nashville Fairgrounds. What are your thoughts heading over there?
I enjoy the fairgrounds, but I think the fairgrounds are going to be a survival race, at least for me. I've uncharacteristically made contact with somebody at Bristol, so I'm going to have to take it a little bit easy just to make sure I don't rough up any more fenders, any more people in this truck series, and I'm just going to try to keep it clean and be there at the end.
Well, Jason, we're looking forward to seeing you out there next week at Nashville. Before we let you go, do you have any shout-outs for us?
Yeah, just thank you to Jim and Stay Tuned Sports for coming on as the title sponsor of this truck series, giving us the ability to race here on 3Ride TV on Tuesday nights. If you guys want to check out a podcast, make sure you check out Stay Tuned Sports Podcast, available on all major podcast platforms. Thanks to Garrett TNR for platform for us to race at. Mitchell and Ben for putting together this truck series pretty much on their own. Thanks to all the drivers that came out. Thanks to Boltjet and Fischer Disc Golf for sponsoring the last 3 races, or maybe 4 races. Really nice to have partners like that come on board to help offset some costs. So I'm sure you guys plugged them in the broadcast, so you guys at home listening and watching, go check them out. Support those who support us. Thanks to Backcraft Cornhole for coming on board for primary sponsor of the season. Check out backcraftcornhole.com for cornhole gear. Thanks to Chris Darling at Max Graphics for always giving me some killer paint schemes. And thanks to TNR boys for the chat, making us better throughout the race. And last but not least, thanks to 3Ride TV for the broadcast and everyone at home for watching. We'll catch you next week.
Awesome. Well, Jason, congratulations on the win. We're looking forward to seeing you out there next week in Nashville.
Yeah, no doubt. See you guys next week.
All right. Well, that'll do it for our interviews tonight. And Ian, Nashville Fairgrounds next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. Going to be some close and tight racing. What are you thinking of and looking forward to next week with the Fairgrounds?
Well, I've actually never raced at the fairgrounds, so I'm looking forward to get back into my Fischer Disc Golf Boltjet Ford F-150 and really just see what I can do there. Try to get, a good top 10, top 15 finish. I'd be really, really happy. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. High bank, shorter track, and these guys have showed at Bristol that we can get it done on a short track. So just really interesting to see what everybody's going to do when they get to the high banks in Nashville.
Well, that will just about do it for tonight's broadcast. Make sure you check out our awesome sponsors, Fischer Disc Golf. They are Muskegon, Michigan's #1 stop on Michigan's West Coast for all of your disc golf needs. Check them out online at FischerDiscGolf.com. Use the code RALLY to get a pretty sweet discount there. Also, make sure you check out Boltjet Charters if you're looking to take a trip anywhere in the world. They specialize on planning you and getting you there in a private luxury jet. You can check them out at boltjetcharter.com. You can also check out Stay Tuned Sports Podcast anywhere you find podcasts. This week, Jimbo talks all about the NFL draft as well as some other really, really cool topics on how the NFL might be taking some player suspension ideas off of the MLB and a whole lot more. You can check them out, like I said, anywhere you find podcasts. So for one final time, special thanks to our producer extraordinaire, Carlos Acosta, and for Ian Fisher, I'm Bob Giaquinto. Thank you so much for joining us here on 3Wide TV. We'll be back next Tuesday at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. So until then, stay safe, stay well, and we'll talk to you soon.